Good afternoon, everyone. Hello and welcome to the first of many webinars that Arktech will be running to support the business community in understanding different IT challenges. In addition to you of those watching live today, we'll make a link available after the event so you can share the webinar with others once it's complete. So with that, let me introduce myself today and kick off the webinar. My name is John James Anderson, or JJ. I'm the Chief Technology Officer at Arktech Consulting, based here in Burlington, Vermont. I'm the co-founder of Arktech Consulting, along with my partner, Jonathan Matson, the CEO here at Arktech. Our mission and our passion is to make IT look easy and to support businesses with all your IT technical needs, along with securing your networks, website hosting, and development. We understand the challenges of making your business and implementing efficient and cost-effective IT solutions. And with these webinars, we're trying to help with these challenges that you face. We're the experts. We want to help you with all these challenges. Here at Arktech Consulting, we believe in personalized support. And importantly, following the webinar today, if you have any questions around the topics we're covering or any other IT technical needs, networking and cybersecurity, or website hosting, we're here to help. You can reach us by sending an email to service@arktechbt.com or connecting with us at our website listed here. During the slideshow today, you can also use the link on the screen to send a question live that we can get to towards the end. We make IT look easy, and we're here to make it look easy for you to help you thrive and prosper with your business. We can handle your IT service needs. We can secure your company's data and safeguard your organization against malicious attachments, as well as host your website and even improve your outreach and communications with customers. With that, let's dig into the topic today around staying safe from cyber intrusions, understanding social engineering and its risks. Many of us with the current COVID-19 pandemic have changed how we work and how we continue to support our businesses. Even before the pandemic, IT needs and network security challenges were prevalent. The recent pandemic has further highlighted the need for us to stay secure in order to allow everyone to stay connected. I am sure many of you here on the webinar today have been working more from home or connecting remotely into your IT systems from places other than your traditional places of work. Andrew Wildgust, who is one of our network security and data recovery consultants here at Arktech, really captured the risks that we face and how we have challenged the way we work. This in turn has opened up new opportunities to attack us. One of those vulnerabilities is around social engineering. I'll get into what that is and what you need to know, but most importantly is how you can improve your business security and reduce or prevent those vulnerabilities altogether. Quick outline of our webinar today. Over the next 20 to 25 minutes, here I'm going to share with you some statistics around risks related to cyber intrusion, and in particular discuss the risks related to social engineering and associated attacks. There are different types of risks, and I'll provide some details on the different ones, but most importantly, how you can stay safe from these common threats. This is your time to learn. I want to provide you with personalized answers to your questions related to these topics. We're here to help, and as I said before, we are here to make IT easy for you. So first and foremost, what are the risks? Cybersecurity is a growing industry and one that is very important to any business today. As we rely more and more on computers and networks, protecting our businesses is increasingly important. I'm sure that you've seen in the news the gas pipeline hit with ransomware, or even heard of concerns around cyber attacks on different utilities. While these are rather big and prominent in the news, the risks are also very real for you and your business. These risks are predominantly due to associated risks related to poor security. So when we look here in the United States, every year, billions of dollars are lost from cybersecurity breaches and identity theft. The average cost of a security breach in 2018 was nearly $8 million. Now, this is due to both the cost of downtime, loss of private information, and even the legal repercussions that come from such a security breach. In addition, quite often after a breach, you may also need to reach and notify every customer affected by this attack. This can add to the cost of an already devastating incident by impacting customer confidence in you as a business and even wasting a lot of man hours with having all the logistics in that notification process. While the big news headline events are in fact shocking, These risks are real for all business today. Importantly, when you start to look at the root cause of the how these breaches occurred, they are really potentially preventable. Cyber attackers, it's kind of crazy to think that there are such a thing as cyber attackers, but these people are intent on stealing your business information. They're not the classical robber we all grew up thinking about, sneaking around late at night trying to break into a window. These are people using their understanding of how people work, poor computer literacy, and known vulnerabilities to break into your system to cause harm. So part of the title of our webinar today is around social engineering. What is it? Well, while this might be a jargon or computer IT term, when you break it down, these two words really do make sense. Social engineering is one of the more common attack vectors or approaches. It's when the attacker leverages trickery to access your company data. As an example, a single Lithuanian man managed to steal over $100 million from Facebook and Google following a successful attack. Social engineering is really the way in which cyber attackers gain entry into your systems and networks by exploiting how we work and live life. They know we're vulnerable to emails asking us to click on things. They know we're not good at remembering passwords as we should. They know that many of us, or maybe even the majority of us, are not IT whizzes. These attackers take advantage of these vulnerabilities to steal and gain access to your computer network. So many of these breaches utilizing social engineering tricks are both detectable and preventable. Just to highlight how big of a role social engineering plays, 81% of hacks stem from some form of lost credentials or passwords. And more often than not, these credentials are obtained by these attackers in social engineering attacks. Now, with social engineering, there's a variety of methods used in these attacks. Understanding how these different attacks can take place can help you reduce or even prevent these vulnerabilities. Often more than one method is used together in conjunction in order to maximize their effectiveness in gaining access to your system. The most common form is phishing. This is when a user impersonates a trusted source via fraudulent messages. Typo squatting is another form of social engineering in which a lookalike website is used to steal credentials from someone. Finally, there's baiting, which is a bit of a complicated topic which often gets confused with phishing. Baiting is when an attacker baits a victim into doing something that will end in the attacker's favor. I'm going to take a few minutes now to describe each of these more in depth and share some of the related risks, but also some potential details on why these can be potential vulnerabilities for your business. First off, we'll start with phishing. And this isn't phishing with an F, but it could make you swear and curse using an F word related with this approach. Phishing with a PH is really around sending fraudulent or fake messages in order to trick someone into giving out important information. The same idea of casting out a line with a hook is a good analogy, as it really is about casting out different fake approaches to try and get someone into your business to bite. Similar to phishing with an F, phishing attackers can keep on casting out over and over again, waiting for that one person to bite. I'm sure the fish in a lake or river don't just see a fishing lure and immediately bite and take the bait. And similarly here, people on your business might ignore or miss one phishing attack, but those people are patient, just like fishermen looking for that trout or that bass. Phishing is the most common form of computer crime according to the FBI Internet Crime Complaint Center. Not only does it come in the form of email, but it can also come in the form of a phone call or a text message as well. These are referred to as vishing and smishing, respectively. The way that these messages work are often not always the same. Some will link you to a lookalike website leveraging the previously mentioned typo squatting. Others will send a document which contains malicious software or scripts. Others may even use some type of trickery to have you send the attacker money. The range is so wide with phishing itself that even could warrant its own webinar in the future. One prominent phishing attack you might be familiar with is the one conducted against the Democratic National Committee, including that of John Podesta, one of Hillary Clinton's key campaign staff back in the national presidential campaign of 2016. The attack really highlights the effectiveness of phishing and its effectiveness against members of the DNC, who you could think might be some of the most educated about these types of attacks with the support of FBI and other cybersecurity provisions. These members of the DNC inadvertently gave away their personal email credentials to hackers based in Eastern Europe. You might have heard of them. They have a funny name, Fancy Bear. Don't be tricked by that seemingly benign name, though. These attacks, which were around using emails saying, someone has your password, you need to change it, were highly effective. I think we're all worried about our passwords. We want to keep them safe. Being told that your password has been stolen is concerning, and the attackers know that. They're taking advantage of our internal worries and concerns, and this is a classic example of social engineering, taking advantage of how we are with our internal vulnerabilities. As I noted before, phishing isn't just one casting out of the line or attack. They can keep casting out all they need, and they only have to have one person bite to fall for this trick, and then they get it. They can fail 99% of the time. They only need 1% to succeed once. But for us, we need to be 100% effective at not falling for these tricks, and that's rather hard. I'm not sure about you, but there aren't too many things I always get 100% right. Anyone who can, please let me know. I'm going to switch businesses and we can co-patent your solution. Now, coming back to the John Podesta example, the cyber intrusion resulted in a serious compromise in the DNC's private communications. Eventually, emails were leaked and disclosed through WikiLeaks, which were incredibly damaging to the Clinton campaign. This was all due to a phishing message sent to Podesta, which falsely claimed he had to change his password. It's really quite amazing how simple yet effective this actually was. On to phishing and smishing. Now, these are both relatives of phishing. They're the brothers and sisters of phishing. Now, these attacks leverage text messages, often linking victims to a website, either to a scam or to an exploit of some kind or a vulnerability on a smartphone, as these devices are often the ones used in text messaging. Secondly, there's vishing. It's a form of phishing that utilizes phone calls. A great example is of the recent robocalls that have been plaguing the US. Things such as, we've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty, are all under the umbrella of vishing. Another risk or vulnerability is typo squatting. Typo squatting is when a website with a similar URL is made to look similar or even identical to that of the real thing. This is done in hopes that someone in your business might access the website believing it to be an official website, or even if they make a slight mistype on their keyboard when they're trying to quickly go to a specific website they need for their job. Once this happens, the user might be prompted to log in, which will then give these attackers the login credentials of that individual on the real website. Other times it might be mimicking a website for popular software. In this case, the software that you then download will come with malicious attachments. Now, one simple way to mitigate this risk is to verify that you're on the website you think you are. Just look at the URL and make sure that it's the correct one. Keep a special eye out for small differences in the name. So even certain things like google.com and google.ru with 3 O's is a big difference. Lastly, baiting is another type of social engineering-based attack. This is one of the most open-ended yet also most effective forms of social engineering. Another foreign affairs and domestic affairs type example is one around the Iranian nuclear facilities attack. The US government was able to compromise the Iranian nuclear facilities by leaving USBs containing malware outside the facility. Once an employee plugged into their computer within the facility, nearly 1,000 centrifuges had to be replaced after being damaged by malware. With this example of baiting, it's rather extreme, but other forms of baiting can be emails, which state the victim has won something, or anything similar to that regard. As a rule of thumb, the majority of baiting attacks rely on individuals' greed, vanity, or even curiosity, rather than just trickery. Taking advantage of these human or social traits is what differentiates baiting from phishing. Now, with this type of attack, your method of prevention is different than simple education. Yes, education is important, but also looking to hire individuals that are not necessarily vulnerable to these tendencies. So looking at some of the biggest risks here, when balancing out these different types of cybersecurity risks around social engineering, phishing is by far the biggest. Phishing can be deployed easily and with increasing sophistication with incrementally more well-crafted messages. These attackers can target specific individuals within your organization. Again, I noted before, they only need to be successful once, and you and your colleagues need to be right every time. And it is hard. And that's what makes this type of low-tech attack so effective. As I noted, phishing is relatively low tech, but it can be absolutely devastating. It can impact the financial bottom line of your business directly via financial costs, loss of private information, but it's also critically impacting customer confidence in you as a business. So I probably added to your worry now about this whole topic. Now, my goal here today wasn't to host a horror type webinar or disaster type movie, but really just to educate on these attacks. And on that theme, education is the key to reducing these risks and potentially in preventing these types of vulnerabilities. Now, it sounds simple, but education really is the key here. And awareness of the risks is crucial. You want to make sure that your employees know what to be aware of and what could happen or how they could be attacked. So going back to the fishing in a lake analogy, if the trout in the base knew a fishing lure was a threat, they wouldn't bite. For us, for you, for me, it's being aware of those risks and the approaches that someone could take. So you could significantly increase your organization's effectiveness at preventing these attacks by simply being aware of what to be concerned about. Training employees on what to look out for is paramount to staying safe. Making them aware of the potential threats, such as phishing emails or plugging in unknown devices to their computers, is key to keeping your company safe. But unlike the image I showed you a moment ago, training in a classroom or a seminar room is one thing, but to be the most effective, we need to incorporate active training into the daily work environment. Education via sending training-oriented phishing is the most effective. Essentially, you're educating by taking advantage of that social engineering vulnerability of clicking on an email. You want to sensitize your team to the risk. You want to minimize that clicking on the change password email, but you need to do that in the context of your employees' everyday work environment. You need to mimic what they may encounter working at home or remotely or on that old terminal. With phishing, the best preventive measures are relatively straightforward. It is important to train your employees on what to look for. An additional safeguard is to have an email filter put in place. So email filters are what alert the user if a message is coming from an outside source from the company, and it's a great tool to help keep employees safe. In addition, have a plan put in place to respond to phishing campaigns. How do you alert your employees to be alert? How do you respond to a potential incident? Approaches such as these are best to be thought of before an incident rather than after. Finally, put in place access controls to mitigate the threat of a compromised employee. So only give them access to what they need to use. Remove past employee accounts from your systems. And approaches like these may seem simple, but they go a long way towards securing your company. So ask yourself for a moment, do you have security policies like these? Do you have email filters? Have you educated your staff about phishing risks? If not, this is really something you should consider undertaking. Awareness is one of the most critical components of staying safe from social engineering attacks. Studies have shown that the majority of Americans do not think of cybersecurity as a priority. It's important that your employees be aware that it's critical they're on the lookout for potential threats and how to respond to them. Both how to identify threats and how to think critically about the messages they receive. Fancy Bear was effective against potentially a well-trained and cyber-aware group of individuals at the DNC. Yeah, a simple email about their password could cause a lot of havoc. So as we come to the end of the webinar today, what are some of the key aspects to keep in mind? First of all, it's important to train employees on how to stay safe. You need methods in place to alert employees to potential threats, and you need protocols in place to both report and to respond to potential social engineering attacks. So these are simple steps to help keep your business safe. And as I highlighted before, probably one of the most effective approaches to protecting your business is training. Training by sending your own company sanctioned phishing emails to see if you're vulnerable, to assess if certain individuals in your business are of higher risk at being compromised, is very effective. Classroom training is good, but training in the workplace, incorporated into what they're doing every day, all day, is the most effective approach. And with that, I'd like to thank you all for your attention today. I hope this wasn't a horror webinar, but a cautionary tale of what can happen and also what you can do to reduce and prevent these risks. While it may seem that I've made IT look easy today, you should feel confident that partnering with someone like ourselves to support your cyber and IT needs can be very effective. Use personalized IT services to help prevent and protect your business. Education is your active insurance policy against a potentially critical business risk. Now let's check in on if we have any questions via the online Q&A. And we do not. So finally, as I close today, if you have any questions or if there's any way we can help you with any of your IT technical consulting needs, network security, or website hosting and development, please send an email and reach out. We're here to help you. We make IT look easy so you can focus on your business growing and thriving. My name has been JJ, the CTO at Arktech Consulting, and it was my pleasure to talk with you all today. Thank you all for joining. Goodbye, and have a great day.